Tony D and Little Joan just off camera, and this is a Screenwriter's Rant on Rick and Morty Season 7. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Heart in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 12 available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Yeah, this is my third take on this. I just uploaded a take, but I realized out of force of habit, I upvoted the video because a lot of times I do that just to mark the video that I watch it. And normally I watch videos I like. And then I realized they spent the whole video talking about how I can't support their show. And I'm like, I can't post that version of it. Anyhow, I can't support the show. Now, why? Well, let me state for the record, this is all just my opinion. I don't have an inside track. I do trailer analysis for what that's worth. You like them or you don't. So before you yell at me in the comments, it's just all my opinion. So I don't know if you think Justin Roiland is guilty or not guilty. I don't think it's an either or case. Personally, I think he's probably not using the best judgment. He probably got caught up in his own fame. Sounds like he got caught up in having a ton of sex because he could and he was famous, maybe, and he used his position to get laid and have like crazy sex. Now, whether or not that was with people who were underage, it's not totally clear. He hasn't been convicted of anything. I don't know what in some states the age of consent is fairly low still. You never know. And you can argue he's not a very ethical guy, but that's not illegal. He hasn't been convicted of anything, certainly nothing criminal. Whatever lawsuit happened, you don't know the circumstances really. So I think it's wrong because this is his creation to kick him out. It's his creation. He's the characters. To do the show without him is insane. And I don't think the show and the people behind the scenes, that's kind of funny, are doing themselves a service because they are essentially, they're saying that I don't think they really care about any potential victims because they're still doing a damn show. You're telling me Roiland doesn't get a dime now? That can't be true. I don't think that can be true. There's no way Roiland behind the scenes doesn't get something. He created this show. There are union rules. He signed union contracts. Now, maybe he violated his contract in such an egregious way that he agreed to not take any more money after this and gave up the entire show. But I kind of find that hard to believe. That would be extremely stupid on his part, unless maybe he's harboring even a darker secret, if you can imagine. And he did that in order to avoid future prosecution. Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. But I don't think he would have done that. I think he probably said, listen, I'll step out. You can continue to do the show without me, whatever. Because he thought he was screwed, maybe. And maybe his lawyers talked him into it, said this is the best way, you still get money or whatever. So that he is probably still making money off the show. I would imagine. Same thing with Solar Opposites and the video game and whatever he was working on. But essentially, he was cleared. Essentially. I mean, they tried to sue him or whatever. It didn't seem like it worked. So I would think he would have a massive lawsuit ahead of him. I haven't heard that he's suing him, but seems to me he would have a very valid case to say, hey, I should be paid for every episode. Maybe they're still paying him as if he's voicing the characters, which for him would be, in terms of the money, would be amazing. Maybe they're still paying him. Maybe he signed a bad deal. I don't know. But it seems wrong to continue with the show either way. Because if you think he's guilty, you shouldn't continue with the show because you shouldn't pay him money, and even if it's not about the money, you shouldn't valorize his characters if he's such a terrible person and you're doing this for the victims or whatever. If he's not guilty, then you definitely should have him back. He should absolutely 100% come back. So I can't support the show for that reason. So I think a lot of people feel the same way. They feel like the show's kind of tainted by what happened until there's clarity on it. Now maybe he'd come out and say something like, I used really poor judgment. I'm not admitting to anything, but I'm sorry. I shouldn't have dragged people into this. I should get my personal life in order. Whatever. Like some sort of apology to the fans. And then maybe you could ask him back, assuming he hasn't broken the law. Or, he comes out and proves his innocence and then, just come back with the show. Now, Dan Harmon was involved in the show too, but still, I think you could say that Roiland's the guy on this. As the voices of the two main characters for 6 seasons, now you're going to continue it without him? I just don't see it. I don't see any reason to watch it. Now, the other problem, just looking at the trailer, it seems like it's already gone into what I would call like a Game of Thrones late stage mode. With Game of Thrones, you had 3.5 seasons of the most amazing television I've ever seen. Characters dying, twists you never see coming, and amazing cliffhangers that I couldn't stop watching. And that transitioned into normal television. And normal television, they tend to pursue what's popular. So they're going to look at focus groups. And what would a focus group say about the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones? Now, some people would be like me. It's amazing. Don't change a thing. But some people might go, well, it's a little slow. So what'd they do? They sped things up a lot faster. The pacing in Game of Thrones, they went from like, it takes a whole season just to get across the kingdom to like, let's go to the north. Boom. You're there in the same episode. Oh, let's go back. Boom. You're there in the same episode. That's kind of what I'm seeing signs of on Rick and Morty. You're seeing characters and bits coming back again. Because nobody is the creator of the show now. Maybe Dan Harmon, could be the guy who stands up there and says yes and no to things, but really it was Roiland, I think. So here they are doing, they're either doing an MIB parody or they're doing the same thing where, remember the episode where they messed with their own memories? In the beginning, Pickle Rick, only it's with a leg. Birdman's back. The president's back. Dr. Wong is back. So they're starting to repeat things. Why would they do that? Well, in a TV writer's room, they would repeat that stuff because you're pitching ideas in the room. You're not the creator. You're trying to get your script approved so you can make money and justify your existence. You're going to pitch stuff that's popular. Without the creator there to go, no, we already exhausted that, they're probably, the showrunners would probably say, yeah, sure. Yeah, that was popular. Let's do it again. The ratings were good the first time. Let's do it again. And look, that doesn't mean you can't go back to things, but that to me, it begins the process of them starting to do that all the time. Like the show, in another show, and previously I would complain that they didn't do that enough, but with Roiland at the helm, you didn't know what was going to happen. Now with him off the helm, I'll say, they're going to tend to gravitate back to ideas they already know work. And it's going to be more like regular TV. Now in the beginning, I was like, I don't know, the end of the second season, I guess it was, I want to see the story with him and the bugs. I want to see how that all started. I want to see more of that. And then they kind of made, the show kind of made their bones on not doing that. staying away from the obvious story to subvert your expectations. I actually think they took that part of it too far and undermined their own show and deconstructed their own show. But it was kind of like improv. They were trying to take it in edgy new directions. I mean, give the guy credit. Roiland is kind of edgy. So is Harmon in his own way. But now you have guys, I think, that essentially they just work there on the show. So you're not going to get, I don't think, the same sort of dynamic. Even though you can argue, well, you know, he hadn't been writing the show really in a while. And that may be true. I don't know. You don't know either. It could all be hype. It could have all been a plot just to push him off the show so they could make more money. So they could do it with a cheaper cast so they didn't have to pay him. You don't know what his contract said. Maybe there was a clause in there. He is out and gets nothing. And they're making tons of money on the show without him. You don't know. Maybe it's one producer who helped push this. Maybe it's true, but it's only partly true. And, you know, you don't know. And I wouldn't put it past people in this business to do that. Because there's so much greed. There's so much greed, in not just in Hollywood, in the world. So if you have this out of control talent, maybe he's not doing anything criminal. Maybe he is. Maybe he's just annoying and he's let all his success go to his head. Maybe he's just a sad, lonely guy and he fills a void in his life with way too much sex. You take advantage of him. You destroy his career and you take over the show. That could be it. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying it's in the realm of possibility. But without Roiland there, and this is why we have courts, because the courts are supposed to be impartial. They're supposed to make judgments on it. They're supposed to say, well, Roiland was a monster. He took advantage of these women and he did horrible things. Or says, well, maybe he did something untoward, but it wasn't illegal. Or maybe he did nothing. Maybe it's all a lot. Whatever. But we don't have that. And I really think the studio owed it to the fans to more fully investigate. And to have Roiland come out with a statement. Now, the fact that I don't know if he's really come out with a statement other than he's sort of exonerated. I don't know. Yeah, I would think they should have brought him back until there's more evidence. Or put the show on hiatus. How many shows have been on hiatus for God knows how long? For stupid reasons. You could still make the show while you do the investigation. And if you got to trash it, well, you got to trash it. Or maybe you separate the art from the artist and say, well, he's guilty, but we'll release the show and then we'll end it. Or, you know, depending on what he's guilty of. I don't know if he's guilty of anything. Keep in mind, you're talking about a lot of money, a lot of pressure, a lot of fame, and people who glom onto that aren't necessarily the innocent waifs they portray themselves. They're clout chasers. They're empty vessels themselves, looking for validation from famous people, and maybe those famous people take advantage of them for sex or whatever, but it still doesn't make it right to do that. You're not a good person for doing that. You're just naive and stupid. So I'm not defending the guy. I don't know if he's guilty or not, but we have a system in place. And the system says if you're guilty, you go to court, you prove the guilt, and then you get punished. If he was guilty of some horrible crime, yes, I would say you should take the show off the air and be done with it. And that should be it. This seems like the most cynical solution. Oh, well, we don't know if he's guilty, but he's gone. We're still doing the show, Rick and Morty. That doesn't seem right. He was the creator of the show, for good or ill. find out definitively, make a call, and be done. Either way, either be done with the show or say we can find no real proof. He's back. Otherwise, I can't watch the damn thing. I would like to. I would like to enjoy it, but I don't know. And it's not the real voices anyway. So, anyhow, that's my take. Let the angry comments begin. And I don't really care about your opinion. No offense. If you have something constructive to say in the conversation, say something constructive. Yeah, you can state your piece, I guess, but if you had nothing constructive to say and you don't like the videos, I don't know why you're watching them. When I see a video and I get 10 minutes in it or whatever, and I go, I'm not really liking this, I just click off. The only ones I'll vote down are people who I think they should, they have the money and the time and the research, and they're not doing opinion stuff. And it's like, you're either intentionally misleading me or you're doing something wrong. So, anyhow, that's it. We'll see you in the next one.